Good morning, gang. Happy Wednesday morning. So, interesting day yesterday in regards to our rights of free speech, huh? Interesting. This one kind of cruised under the radar a little bit. Not a whole lot of people noticed this one. And I'm not talking about Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel, of course, was brought back by ABC yesterday and allowed to do his show and gave a non-apology apology on air, saying, oh, he didn't mean to call anybody out. Oh, that's exactly what you said. And he doesn't think this person was affiliated with any group. That's a complete lie. So Jimmy covered up one lie with more other lies. That's typical for a liberal. Okay. Not many people, of course, saw the apology because a lot of the broadcast companies refused to air the show at all. We'll see how that happens going forward if they consider this apology worthy of putting him back on the air. But he was short some 60 or 70 affiliate networks across the country, which is basically most major media outlets, or media areas. So apparently, Jimmy Kimmel wasn't fired by Donald Trump, right, lefties? Okay. Because I don't think Trump interrupted his United Nations speech to call up ABC and say, you know what, I had a second thought, let him go back on. That didn't happen. All right. So sorry, lefties, this was a Bob Iger decision, not a Donald Trump decision. Nobody was stifling your free speech. Unless, of course, you want to look introspectively, because what came out yesterday should appall everybody, especially those watching me here. Let's go back to 2020. And how many of you remember all of us YouTubers having backup channels? How many strikes we got? How many times we were put in timeout for a week or two, depending on what was going on? Had the threats of our channels being removed completely. How many of you have channels that were removed completely or got strikes? I know there's quite a few of you guys who watch this channel who have channels of your own. And maybe you discuss politics, maybe you discuss cooking, maybe you discuss, pick something, gardening or home repair or anything. And back in 2020, we were all under the threat of having our voices silenced by Google, especially when it came to talking about COVID. You couldn't talk about, remember, all this, which we still use, because you couldn't say the words, right? For all this screaming and yelling the liberals have done here just in the last few days about supposedly Trump shutting down Jimmy Kimmel, which he didn't do, you might want to look at what Google admitted yesterday to Congress. Read this headline. Google admits censorship under Biden, promises to end bans of YouTube accounts of thousands of Americans censored for political speech. This was posted on Congressman Jim Jordan's Twitter account. Didn't see a whole lot of it in the print media this morning. Surprise, surprise. Okay. Because, God forbid, they report on their own internet arm silencing the American public. Dissent is not allowed. You're not allowed to disagree with us. We only believe in the First Amendment when it's what we're saying. Okay? That's it. I find it very funny that 4 years later, Google thinks that admitting this now and saying it was under the Biden administration is going to be a gesture of goodwill. Because there's people's careers that were destroyed. A lot of us, smaller channels, many prepper channels, we're not big channels compared, in the big picture of things. Went to Rumble, went to alternate channels. You guys remember that, okay? But there were plenty of big voices that were completely shut down. Dan Bongino, Alex Jones. I mean, you can go into a lot of them who were talking about the inefficiency of getting shot in the arm, or talking about, I don't know, the cheat in 2020. I mean, come on, nobody with a straight face can tell me Joe Biden got 81 million votes. That's absolutely impossible. It's funny because this also came out yesterday because of a whole bunch of FOIA requests, Freedom of Information Act. We are now going to be able to see the counts in Michigan from the 2020 election. If you remember, this is where at 3 a.m. vans were pulling up with boxes and boxes and boxes of ballots that miraculously were all for Joe Biden. And so now that evidence is coming out. Don't for a second think that they don't want two sets of laws. Freedom of speech is good for the left only. The Biden administration proved it. Google basically threw Biden under the bus and said, we were under orders from the Biden administration to censor that stuff, even though it didn't violate our terms and conditions. Google's trying to save face right now. Oh, we believe there's the political discourse coming from both sides is beneficial. Yes, it is, very much, okay? You need to hear both sides of a story anywhere. But the Biden administration didn't want that. Whatever they said was gospel. And where where Google is trying to blame the Biden administration, nowhere was it come up that said either take this stuff down or we're pulling your business license or anything like that. There were probably veiled threats, but Google still did that voluntarily. And I know as I sit here on YouTube saying all this, but the truth hurts. The truth is realistic. You look at all those people who had, a lot of them, careers nearly destroyed, or some of them completely destroyed because of this. If Google thinks they're getting away with an apology or an admittance in front of Congress, well, it was the Biden administration. I hate to tell you this. Google's probably going to have a massive class action lawsuit against them because all those people who lost millions of dollars, or all those news networks, what was it, OANN and Newsmax, okay, can show that they lost advertisers because they couldn't post their stuff on YouTube, right? I mean, I don't care how much you want to talk about Rumble or some of these other ones. There's not a single video streaming platform that has the reach that YouTube does. Europe has come out. The European governments are trying to censor Americans from on Google because of what we say, because they don't have free speech, and you know what's going on in Europe. Okay. They're threatening still. I mean, this is how loony this is. The European governments are threatening the arrests of Americans for saying things that they don't like. If I say Keir Starmer is the biggest asshole ever, England thinks they can come arrest me for that. Good flippin' luck. Okay. Social media has some very good qualities to it. There's also some very trashy ones to it. And the problem we have is that everything in this country is politicized anymore. Grocery stores, DEI. We're a DEI grocery store. I'm not shopping there. Right? Okay. The media, they can't report the news anymore. It's got to be 24/7 opinion. We've got to spin it so it fits our narrative. Google just admitted that they were under orders to only let out the leftist talking points and to censor the rest of us. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Giving people their channels back, which is what Google's offering here, doesn't do a whole lot of good. Yeah, some people whose names are really out there, that I'd say Charlie Kirk, but it's not like he's going to have a new channel. Jack Posobiec, or, like I said, Alex Jones or somebody like that coming back to YouTube. They'll build their fan base up again pretty quickly. But those average Joes that worked hard to build their channels and it was all taken away from them, you don't remember their names. They start a new channel. They got to start from square one. Google admitted yesterday that under orders from a president of the United States to destroy people's lives and censor their speech, one of the largest companies in the world was under pressure from the most powerful man in the world to violate the law. Think about that. Pinball out.